Hi, I'm Miller Pyke. I'm directing Eurydice by Sarah Ruhl.
And I'm Jenna Vershen, and I will be playing a part of Eurydice.
So, Miller, would you like to tell us a little bit about your show?
Yes. Eurydice is a modern retelling of the classic Greek show of Orpheus and Eurydice. Orpheus is a great musician. Eurydice is his wife. The devil takes an interest in Eurydice and tricks her into dying and going down to hell with him. And Orpheus has to save her. So that's kind of the premise. This show itself, the one by Sarah Ruhl, is told from more Eurydice's point of view. We meet her father down in the underworld and a chorus of stones. So, you know, it has some elements from the Greek tragedy, but it's also modernized.
Okay. And Jenna, what's it like to be playing Eurydice, who is dead for most of the show?
Oh, it's intense to think about what a person goes through when they die, particularly the way that Sarah Ruhl looks at it as purely a loss of memory, not entire memory, but just a temporary forgetting, and how someone would act as if they are so blank and unknowing.
So what was it like to be working with all of your fellow actors and cast? You all sort of have a different relationship to each other. On the one hand, you have Orpheus, who you're massively in love with, and then there's the father, who is also in the underworld. And then there's the Lord of the Underworld, who has many different incarnations, and then we have the stones, who are basically there to make everyone miserable.
Oh, it's wonderful. Everyone's so great, and I've worked with a few of the actors before. Miller and I both have, with Chad, who's playing my father, and Laszlo, who's playing Lord of the Underworld, and they're both fantastic actors and absolutely wonderful to work with.
How did you begin to approach this story, Miller, from a director's point of view?
Well, I had it kind of easy because I knew that I was going to be directing this last year. So I had, all year and all summer to prepare. And I actually was able to speak with Sarah Ruhl because of a weird coincidence. A friend knew her, and I was able to talk to her, which was probably one of the most beneficial things. She, gave me some really good advice and really gave me some good in-depth looks into what she really wanted portrayed through her show. And I really love the script. So for me, being true to the show that she wrote was like one of the most important things to me. Mostly when I started, it was looking at characters, relationships, how they build throughout the show, and some of them break down. But so mostly for me, it was character work in the beginning, and then slowly, working in more and more into the written word, figuring out how, what I wanted, the emotion behind, how I wanted people to feel after a certain scene or after the entire show. So.
What was the most difficult part of either the show itself or of the process of performing it and producing it and directing it for both of you as the director and the actor?
Well, for me, the hardest part about the show is the end, which I won't go into in too many details because I want people to come see it.
Spoilers!
Yeah, spoilers. So, but the end has to be right. It has to hit home, and we worked a lot on it.
Yeah, we did. I think the hardest part as an actor was switching so quickly between different emotions, switching from blankness to utter fear, utter sadness, and just, 1 minute being fine, 1 minute losing it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how do you see the underworld? Because in some versions of the story, it's seen as hell. Some, it's simply the afterlife for everyone. Do you see it as a hell or simply?
Well, Sarah Ruhl looks at it in kind of an interesting way. The way she describes the stones in the script as they can be played as though they're nasty children at a birthday party.
Yeah.
And the Lord of the Underworld is a lot like a child who comes in on a tricycle, and so it's kind of just like
It's very much interpretation of, evil as it is perceived in our society. For me, the stones really represent something that has been dead for a long time. They are the age of death, and but also have their own emotions coming out. Throughout the show, they become more and more. We get more and more into their psyche. But the actual underworld itself is more to me just a dream state. Mm-hmm. A loss of memory, like when you wake up and you can't remember a dream. It's that kind of in between wake and sleep.
From what I've seen in your rehearsals so far, Laszlo Steele, who plays the Lord of the Underworld, is particularly terrifying in a unique way that I haven't seen a lot of before. What is that like for you, Jenna?
Oh, well, he's really good at playing terrifying. He's an extremely nice guy, and then when he gets on stage, he just goes for this entire other energy. It's really just an expelling of energy from him, of this. Oh God, it's so hard to describe.
And it defies explanation.
It's really quite nasty at some point. I mean, that's, to use that word for the nasty, interesting man. But really finding those contrasts because of all his different reincarnations, really, really amazing growth, like through him, through myself, through everyone. I feel like those scenes have come the farthest and are really gonna be, really hit some people. So.
On that note, what do you think you've learned from the show, and how do you think you've grown as a director and an actor from Eurydice? Do you
want to start?
As an actress, it's the way Sarah Ruhl writes is she doesn't put any kind of extra ways that she wants it done. She just writes the words and some blocking notes, and that's about it. So as an actor looking at this script, it's just you have to really delve into what is the character thinking. There's no emotion that's on the surface for you. It's just you really have to get into the character's mind. I don't know, it requires huge growth as an actor.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I grow every time I work on a project, and with this one, like Jenna was saying, it's very up in the air. You can do a lot with it, or you cannot. You can really, draw back. It's a super minimalist show the way it's written, and something about that is just so poignant. So for me, it was just trying to keep it simple. I have a tendency to just be like grandeur, and so pulling back was a real thing for me, and also, it was my first experience working as, the director of a main stage production.
What would you say your favorite part of the show has been?
The show is in the actual play or in the process of production?
Either, both.
That's a tough one. What's your favorite part of the show?
Well, I mean, the whole in terms of the whole process, my favorite part of the show has just been a couple rehearsals where we just nailed it. Where I punched a table once.
That rehearsal
was great. My hand hurt, but that was a great rehearsal. And so, just a couple of those moments where it's yes, we nailed it, we got it. In terms of the show itself, there are just a couple scenes, couple of the scenes between Eurydice and her father. It's such a sweet relationship between them. The beginning scene between Orpheus and Eurydice is just so sweet, and then
it's like walking into a candy shop.
Yes, exactly. You just and then the stones are amazing. I mean, everything. It's been great.
Mm-hmm. Favorite part of the show, definitely. I don't know if I can place it on a certain scene, but definitely the scenes where those dynamics really show up between the characters, where there's really something that gets explored between them.
All right, and I think our second to last question here. There are a lot of elements in the show that are sort of timeless. You guys are doing it as set in the 1930s, but it seems like you could really set it in any era. Do you think there is a particular theme of the show or an idea in it that is particularly relevant to people today who would be coming to see the show?
Well, for me, setting it, like, the show itself in the script is set in the 50s. Obviously, the original is set in Greek times, ancient Greek times. But for me, the stories are completely relevant. Loss, love, fear. It's all those natural instincts. I mean, loss of the person that you love. Everyone can relate to that, and if you can't, you haven't lived yet. So, those kind of things. Everyone can relate to those kind of things, no matter where you are in your life, especially if you're a college student. Those are themes that are happening in your daily life, so.
Yeah, for me, one of the huge themes of the show that everyone can relate to and should relate to is that memory and your experiences are what make you who you are, and you shouldn't forget them, because you will suffer a loss of self if you do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and if you just want to give us a quick information spiel on when, where, I believe it's free for students.
Yes, free for everyone, actually. Admission is completely free. It's going to be going May 5th, 6th, 7th, starting at 7:30 with a live 30-minute performance by Camp Wisdom, who's a local band, and the performance starting at 8 o'clock at the Evergreen State College, Communications Building, Recital Hall, room 107.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming to talk to us at the CPJ.
Thank you so much.